Bulgarian researcher Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who introduced the concept of flow. We're about to talk about that and how it applies to the classroom. His theory is that people are happiest when they are in a state of flow, a state of concentration or complete absorption with the activity at hand and the situation. It's a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. This graph shows the various states of mind when you have various levels of skill matched with various levels of challenge. If you're working on a task that has a low challenge level and a low skill level, then you will experience relaxation. However, on the opposite side of the graph, if you have low skill level and you're working on a highly challenging activity, then you will experience anxiety. The optimal state is flow. You will need to have a high level of skill and a high level of challenge to reach this state. The question becomes, how do we create this state of flow in our students in the classroom? We're now going to discuss ways to increase levels of flow in your classroom. There are some specific strategies that teachers can use to create flow. All of the strategies coincide with the philosophy of a student-centered classroom. So if you already have a student-centered classroom rather than a teacher-centered one, then you will already be doing some of these techniques. Number 1, provide challenging activities, but not too challenging. It's important for you to know your students well enough to know their relative skill levels in reading, writing, math, and their strengths. This way, you can match the activity with their strengths. 2, make assignments relevant to the students' lives, not to the teachers. If students see no relevance to their lesson, they will quickly disengage. Therefore, it is important to make sure students take some time to reflect on why a new skill is important to their lives. 3, encourage choice. Different students have different strengths and learning styles. Providing choice for students gives them the opportunity to match their strengths with the desired outcome. 4, set clear goals and give feedback. Students need to know that they are progressing towards their goals. The feedback given by the teachers should be highly specific and authentic. 5, hands-on activities. In the next video, you're going to hear how a teacher is constantly getting his kids out of the seat or working with their hands in order to learn the concepts. Using manipulatives and having hands-on activities is a way to bring students into flow. 6, make them laugh. The video will also show how important laughter is for learning. Having fun and laughing is a great way to get into flow. So as you design your classroom activities, think about these tips and how you can make your classroom more conducive for flow to happen.
I just try and figure out ways in advance most of the time, but if things are happening in the class where I notice things are slowing down, the tension's starting to drop, I just try and figure out things that I can do to grab their attention. Like, for example, we were talking about volume and they weren't quite getting some of the concepts of volume, and so I filled up this giant jug full of water and went to the back and got some volunteers to come with me, and we were talking about the space that the volume consumes, and so we were pouring it in. I intentionally poured way more water than we needed into smaller containers, and the kids were holding the waters all going down their arms, and they all thought it was hilarious, you know, and so they're captivated, and they all knew that they're each going to get a chance. They're all waiting on the edge of their seats trying to get involved. They're laughing at each other, and they're getting the idea that it's like this volume is the space that's being filled in, right? It's not something like our area surface. And so that worked really well. Things like we were focusing on the remainder and division, and they didn't quite get it, and so I asked for 7 volunteers to go up, and so 7 went up, and I asked some students to divide them into groups of 2, and so we had 3 groups of 2. They chose which students were going to the groups, and then there's one kid behind. It was a student named Alejandro, and then he looked confused and he felt left out, and I was like, what is that? What's happening there? And they're like, who, what is that? And they're like, that's Alejandro. I'm like, that's right, that's Alejandro. Alejandro is the remainder. He's what remains. And the kids thought it was amazing. They thought it was so funny. And then we grouped them again, broke them up into groups of 3 instead of 2, and we had another remainder. And they saw the idea that was that one left over from the bunch that couldn't be used. And so stuff like that where they're actually being involved, I really like, you know, and like with some suggestions with the everyday math we have some cards and stuff to use in different games, really simple games. And as soon as I pull out the number cards, as soon as they have like that material substance in their hand, they're moving around numbers, all of a sudden it's gone from this boring drag of an activity to this super exciting thing. No longer is it math. It's this fun game that they're trying to race to see who can get the highest number. But they're doing principally the exact same thing, right? And so I'm always trying to make things as hands-on as I can and as 3D as I can, so that they're touching things, they're being involved, like they're actually the participant of the activity. So I kind of want to move myself further and further back from it, where I'm more of the observer orchestrating what's happening, and they're the one actually doing it, you know, so they're actually part of their own learning process and teaching process.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and it sounds very experiential. And it sounds like they can easily relate to these activities, and it gets them totally focused into the moment. And it sounds like you're doing a great job cultivating flow into your classrooms.